This episode of the Off-Road Podcast is sponsored by Warren Medical Gear Outfitters and Colby Valve.
Off-Road Podcast 398, Andy's KOH recap.
Tonight, Aaron breaks out a grinder, Coy gets a greasy armpit, and Ben turns into a Power Ranger.
Welcome to the Off-Road Podcast, the podcast about everything off-road. We cover the news, review products, and interview people in the off-road industry. Your hosts tonight are Aaron, Coy, and my name is Ben. And joining us tonight is Andy from Warren and Crankshift Culture. Did I say that wrong, or did I have
Camshaft crankshift.
Commutator culture for the electric people.
Yeah, there you go. Well, how's it going there, Coy? What's new?
I didn't do too much off-road stuff this weekend because I hung out with Aaron, so obviously not a lot of off-road going on. But
Oh man,
sick bird!
Wow.
I'm literally trying to basically buy him into being a wheeling friend at this point. So, but we're getting there, getting there. What about you, Aaron? What did you do this weekend?
Let's see here. Josh says you look cold, Coy.
I am. Cold.
Well, Coy came over to my house and we did a makeshift alignment on the truck so that we could drive it without it putting you in a ditch or wearing my brand new tires to nothing. We bled the brakes 2.5 times.
Oh,
everybody here probably understands why it happened 0.5 times.
Yep.
If you don't, what happens is when you're bleeding the brakes and you don't pay attention to the reservoir and it goes down too low and it sucks air in and you have to start back over. That's the 0.5. Yeah.
I don't even really consider having bled them right unless you do that at least once.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever bled brakes and not made that mistake.
I love it when you're doing that and you're like, you get in, you're like, wait, I don't think this is right. Oh, that's right. We forgot to do. Oh, and then there's your 0.5.
I think I got enough to do one more caliper. Oh, no, I did not.
Eric wants to know about the greasy armpits, and this would be a great time to tell that story.
I guess I skipped right over that in my part, but I didn't want to take up all of Aaron's story.
Yeah.
I was under the truck because as the guest, you always get underneath the truck, right? So
you just climbed under there. I'm like, all right, I guess I'm pumping. I guess I'm gonna get my leg day in today.
I actually would way rather. My leg hurts for like 3 days after if I'm in it's not worth it. I'll remember it for too long. So we had a little piece of like surgical tubing we're sticking on the nipple of the brake bleeder, and it didn't quite make it all the way to the shop floor because these massive tires Aaron's putting on. So I had like a stack of blocks and then this little cup that was going on. And as I would turn it, the surgical tubing would flop. So it's hanging down right here. And so I had about a quarter cup in there and I turned it and I had short sleeves on. It literally just dumped straight down into my armpit of brake fluid. It was super sweet. I really liked it.
Your armpit will never be the same.
Yeah. If I ever use any deodorant with bleach, it's gonna make like mustard gas or something.
I think you already have mustard gas going on there.
Not in my armpits though.
So the other half of the story is I hear Coy going, whoa, oh, it just went in my armpit. And I had just pumped the brake. I had just pumped the brakes and he didn't give me the signal to let off. So I'm like, can I let off? And he's like, no, you can't. And he's climbing out and he's getting undressed and wiping himself down. And like, I'm just still standing on the brakes as hard as I can because I want to make sure it doesn't suck the air bubbles back up in there. So yeah, I had 2 or 3 minute a brake hold on that one.
Yeah.
It's always good times. Yep. So what else we did? We tightened the axle nuts on the truck, which is the thing I needed to make sure I didn't forget. So we got that done and the cotter pins put in. Cotter pins? Yeah, yep. Cotter pins, I think. Yeah. And then I cut a skid plate off to do some inspections and took the truck for a drive. Feels like we did something else.
Wait a minute. Cut skid plates off?
I didn't cut. I cut some bolts so I could drop the skid plates.
Oh.
The nut, the captive nut on the inside was rotating, so everything was spinning.
Got it.
And
We couldn't find the 10 mil per usual, so we just cut it off.
Just cut it
It's
off.
just like I can't.
Yeah. Well, no, we lost the 10 mil several times. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we took it for a test drive, and I'm like, man, these brakes are so soft. And I was like, oh, that's right. They're brand new pads and brand new rotors. We need to bed them in. So then we proceeded to bed them in, and they got a lot firmer. But the pedal's soft. I don't know if all Nissans are this way. I do know that I'm an aggressive braker and accelerator and turner, but I feel like it's mushier than I like. I know that I can upgrade to a bigger master cylinder. In fact, I could pull the one off the Nissan Titan and swap that on. We'll see. We'll see if it's needed. Now that it's more of just a wheeler than an everyday driver, maybe it won't matter as much. I'm not sure. So, I also put in my ducats, paid some money, and am scheduled to go to the Northwest Overland Rally in Plain, Washington in June. So very excited about that. Andy, have you guys signed up for that yet?
That is on the to-do list, considering I just got back from Mexico. That's on to this week's list of things to do to sign up as a vendor for the Northwest Overland Rally and the BC Overland Rally.
Yeah. Yeah, you get to go to both, lucky dog.
Yeah, they're two great events, two of my favorite events, personally. So
Great event. Since you're a vendor, I wrote Metal Tech today and said, hey, are you guys doing the Overland Chef thing? And they're like, I haven't heard anything about us doing it. So maybe Warren needs to take up that mantle and put it on. And you have some great judgers of food right here. I judge food daily.
You're very judgmental.
Right? Very judgmental.
Not so much with food, but other things.
Fair.
Yeah.
I did find a socket this weekend as we were as I left Aaron's house. I get down to the end of his gravel lane and I see his socket or ratchet and socket there. I'd specifically used it, so I picked it up and I thought, I don't remember it having this socket on it. I turned around, drove it back to his house. It's only like a mile each way. And then I realized it was a Pittsburgh after I drove all the way back. And I was like, I drove back to give you a Pittsburgh ratchet. Like I spent more in gas, but it turned out it wasn't a wrench that we had
spent more in gas than the wrench was worth
like
for that
2 miles, so
it is 2 mile round trip.
Yeah. So I mean, I get like 14 miles a gallon. I was like, yeah, it cost me like $1. Anyways, it turns out it was one that Aaron had used at some other point that just fell out because of the socket that was on there. We hadn't used that one that day. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I think that I had started to try to take the bumper loose and I got distracted or irritated and left it up on a bolt underneath the bumper, and it rolled around for a mile till it fell off. So
what blows my mind is it had to have stayed on through all the brake checks and bedding the pads, a turnaround, and then 4 or 5 miles, several corners, and dropped off on the way back.
You don't think it fell out on the way out the road?
We would have seen it on the way back. It was like where it was in the middle of the road. We would have seen it.
Oh, we would have seen it? Oh, interesting.
Absolutely.
Wow. Well, I mean, so the funny thing about that is that I lost the exact same wrench, the ratchet, last summer, but it was a 1/4 inch drive instead of a 1/2 inch drive. Coy found my 1/2 inch drive. And I drove from town where I had done the engine swap back home, and it fell off right when it hit the gravel, which is about 5 miles from town. I have no idea where it was, but I was mourning the loss of it because I was going through all my tools after I cleaned up at my buddy's shop and I couldn't find it anywhere. And I'm like, it's just gone. Just tools disappear. And like a week later, I was driving home on the gravel and I saw something and I pulled over and I pick it up and it's my ratchet, and it had been run over multiple times. And it's one of those composite wrench ones that Harbor Freight sells. And so it's composite means plastic for those who don't know. And it looks like the person who stipples their Glock for the first time, and it looks terrible. But it's got added grip now, and it functions perfectly for being run over who knows how many times by farm trucks and school buses and everything. So, yeah.
Did you ever have to read that book, The Incredible Journey, when you were in school, where the people move and they're like dog, cat, pig,
Oh, the dog.
Yeah, 10,000 miles there. You have a set of ratchets like that at this point. Like they just keep coming back, like no matter what.
Yeah.
And each time they come back with a different animal, which is weird. So
yeah. Well, Ben, you've been busy too.
Wait. You didn't show any pictures. Like, did you?
Oh, you're right. I got some pictures. You're right. Here, let's show some pictures. Here is Coy underneath doing part of the alignment. In fact, Coy did all the alignment. I didn't do anything. I held the tape measure.
I want to totally claim that because I want to see till after you get back from the drill alignment, like where I was,
how it goes.
Where I claim it.
Yeah. So there's Coy doing alignment. And then as soon as we put it on the ground, we're like, all right, we're going to back at this thing out of here. You can see all the weights on there. Look how much clearance there is at the back quarter of the fender. Well, apparently when you turn the fender, the tire hit the fender, and I was really, really sad about that. So I forgot to mention this part. I had to cut the back of my fender. So you can see that in this picture here that, oh boy, that makes me really sad. I never, ever wanted to cut my truck up. So Eric says, look at those hubs.
Now that you've done it, you could the next time just go up to 37s and cut more.
Well, that's why I said I'm at this point, I might as well cut it the rest away and do 37s. Although I'm going to look into some fender flares. I did some reading, and apparently some some Ram 1500 flares from a specific generation fit really, really well. The only thing you have to do is take a heat gun to the spot where it's notched for the fuel door and just open it up tiny bit more just massage it with the heat gun, and they bolt on there really well. So yeah, Mark says some Baja Bosses. Yep, you can see those there. They're the Baja Boss. And then here I am.
You skipped over on what we used as a pattern.
Oh, I forgot about I forgot about that part. So Coy's like, you got a big trash can lid or like a bucket, or what about like one of those big snow saucers? I'm like, I've got a snow saucer. And I went and dug the snow saucer out of the side yard where the kids left it because they don't put their toys away. And it was already smashed and broken. So we just took the angle grinder to that first and cut it into a crescent moon shape. And yeah, this is Fenders by Snow Saucer. And it turned out pretty good. You can kind of see it in this picture. Yeah.
It looks good.
It does.
Yep. Still got to do some stuff up front. Grill's not on, winch isn't wound in. That's part of the reason why I'm dropping the skid plates. So
yeah, are you gonna drop the full bumper?
Yes, I have to.
Okay.
Yep. Josh says, what's that nasty word on the back of your shirt? So back in the day, I used to be a Subaru guy, and so it says Subaru on the back of my shirt. So
he did turn over his vape pen and backwards ball cap to Andy afterwards.
Yeah, that's right. I got that now. Yeah.
No, I had a couple sweet turbocharged Subarus. So I had a lowered sedan and a lifted wagon. So
and a competition vape rig. And a whole collection of purple hoodies.
Wait, is that a thing now? Purple hoodies? For
Yeah,
Subaru? Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that.
You have to get a purple hoodie now.
I'll have to go get one. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay, Ben. Yeah, it is your turn now. Sorry, I forgot all about those pictures.
I saw them there. It's like you didn't even use them. What the heck? So, what did I do? Let's see. Well, I worked from like 2 all week until I had Friday off.
All week except for Friday.
Yep, it was nice.
Guys, he worked Is that 4 days that you
4
worked?
days. 4 days. Yep. I worked
My
hard.
goodness.
I'm
So-
surprised
so-
you're here.
That's like 32
I
hours,
was off
Ben.
today too.
You put
Well,
you put
that's
30.
did you work 8-hour days or were you doing like 6 with a 1-hour lunch, Ben?
Oh no, it was just a busy week. I'm also
See, he
See
won't
how you
answer.
avoided that? Like, it's been
I'm also going to end up coaching my son's 2 teams for soccer this year, so it's been busy running back and forth and getting everything ready. But I needed to get the vehicles out of the back of the yard and into the front side yard so that I can begin leveling up the front or the backyard for the shop. It's not a whole lot of leveling, but I had to move it from one side of the house to the other, and I had to use the Forerunner, and I had no one to help me. But fortunately, I had a Warren hub, and that would be the Bluetooth one. I was able to winch it out of the back, off the one side of the house, and
You've got both the manual and the Bluetooth in this picture.
That's right.
Yeah. I do. But it was kind of handy because I could take and steer the wheel on the Jeep while winching, because I didn't have to worry about a wire or anything. So I'm literally just winching and turning the wheel on the Jeep, and I turned on my flashy amber so that no one would run through my rope or hit my rig, because I do have neighbors that do like to speed. But I was able to pull it out and pull it all the way. And then so where the Forerunners parked is where I needed to get in. So I used a snatch block there and got her in position. So
Nice.
yeah, it was really nice with the Warren hub, just kind of being able to put it where I wanted it, and got it all up. And then the ADD medication was working pretty well, and I was outside doing outside projects. So I decided to finish wiring up my rock lights, which I had the front done, and then it started raining. So that's about the location of where I wanted to put everything, underneath though. And they're on magnets, if you can't tell from how they're sitting on the door panel already. So I got them all wired up, but it did start raining. So I was doing it in the dark, and I showed a friend.
There's something wrong with your camera, Ben.
I'm now the pink power.
Do you have a filter
No
on your
filter.
camera? What's
No
what's
filter.
going on there?
It's all pink.
You got the exposure turned up wrong?
Nope, all pink.
Why is it so pink?
Because they were $20, and those are what are they? I think they're $40 a pop or $35 a pop for the KC Highlights Cyclones. These are the first generation. They were being discontinued because the new second generation came out, which have interchangeable lenses. So I'm stuck with pink.
Like for color?
Huh? Yeah, for color.
Interchangeable colors. Oh,
Yeah.
nice. That's
So while I do recommend them, I spent for 10 lights, I spent, what was that? $20 a light, $200, or no, not $200. I can't math.
Did they come in pairs?
No, individuals.
Gotcha.
So I don't know how much I spent.
Mark
Whatever.
says they're the prettiest rock lights he's ever seen.
Yeah.
Well, if
They
they
were-
were $20, if they were $20 each and you got 10 of them, that's 200.
Well,
So
Yeah,
yeah.
to
that's
be
right.
Mark, to be honest, in my neck of the woods, rock lights are white, and then if it's any other color, it's called redneck glitter. So
there we go.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty redneck already, so it works out pretty good.
He's got underglow. He's got underglow. He's going to go to the lowered car meets with that.
Oh, dude, that would be so hilarious.
Tokyo. Give it
But the cool thing is they're on magnets, so I can adjust them as I need. So like my front fender one, or my front bumper ones, that whole front bumper's magnetic, so I can stick them wherever I need in the bumper, or stick them up under if I'm worried about someone grabbing them or something like that. So it's kind of nice. And then it started raining, and then what was it, Sunday or Saturday? I started changing out the LEDs on my center console thing because half of them don't work. And I've replaced half of them, but they've got polarization to where you have to have the positive on the positive and the negative on the negative, or they don't work. So I still have a few I've got to pull out. That I just took that a couple minutes ago because the last of the lights showed up.
How
that-
many lights are in that dash area to light that up?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them.
Okay. Josh says you're going to need my old vape pen so you can go to those car meets.
Oh, sweet. I'll get a purple hoodie too. Yes, that is a Scion deck. It was an upgrade from a standard factory radio. It's just so I could do Bluetooth and
And a backup camera.
a backup camera, which I still have not gotten the backup camera part. And I'm considering switching out the deck to a like one of like the Chinese ones that's a 10.5 inch that has Amazon, or not Amazon, Android audio.
Android Auto.
Yeah, Android Auto. So that I could just use my phone because that's what I use most of the time anyways.
When you go to those car meets, you can get some ideas from some of those lowered guys, see what they
Yeah,
got.
probably.
You put it right in the center of your steering wheel, so you can
Mhm.
like watch TV
On
and
the
play
s-
games
on
while
the
you
steering
drive.
wheel.
On the steering wheel.
There you go.
Mhm.
Oh, and then I took a picture.
Oh man.
That's our cards because the green screen doesn't show the green background that well. So yeah, those are the new business cards. So
Yeah, I'm excited to start handing those out. I can't
Cool.
wait for the next time for us to meet up so I can get my grubby hands on them.
yep. So yeah, that's been about my week. Just about a couple other things, but you'll hear about that later. And then Andy, what about you?
Well, I got back from Mexico. I was in Mexico for a week on some vacation, which was great. And then got back at like 3:30 in the morning on Sunday morning, and got up and decided now would be a great time to do a coolant flush on my 92 Mitsubishi Pajero. And so that took longer than I expected, just with the draining and cooling and draining and cooling. And so just a wet, messy, no fun maintenance thing. So, but been having a little bit of issue with it getting it's a Hyundai D4BF swap in my Pajero. It's the same as the Mitsubishi 2.5 liter turbo diesel, just new. And but I've had a little bit of not overheating, but it's getting warm going up slow grades. So I figured first things first, let's swap the coolant out because I know the coolant has been kind of nasty in there. It's been a long time. So swap that out. So we'll see how that does. But otherwise, was down in Mexico, and it's like going to it's like a whole other car culture going down there. They've got all kinds of vehicles we don't get up there. I saw my Suzuki Jimny on BFGs down there. That was cool.
I should have snagged some of the pictures from what you posted the other day. There's just so many fun cars down there that we don't even know exist.
Oh, it's like it's completely bonkers. Like there's all kinds of stuff. You're like, well, I've never even seen one of these. What is this?
Mhm.
And I'm like I'm like a 7-hour flight from there. We were down in Manzanillo, Colima, Mexico, so kind of south central on the Pacific coast. But yeah, all kinds of the compact pickup market down there is completely. There's just all sorts of compact pickups. Most of them are car based. I tried to smuggle a Jimny back, but I got it confiscated at the border, so they took it out of my backpack. So, but they had, but there's all kinds of things. There's what is it? The Renault Duster, which is the same as the Dacia Duster. Those things are all over the place. The Renault Auric. I don't know. It's like something with a pickup truck bed, but yeah, there's all kinds of totally different car culture. Some really passionate gearheads down there. It was a cool place. And then I think about a week before that, Coy and I actually went out to Tillamook State Forest and hit the trails for the day. That was a good time. Broke a sway bar.
We shared all the photos you took, both of them.
Oh, good. Both photos. Yeah, good. Thank you. Yeah.
And the one I took, and the one I took as well.
All three
Had
photos.
nothing to do with anything.
That's all right. So
the one that showed the hiking trails that Coy was planning to drive on.
That I clearly will never be talking about ever.
So we ended up breaking a front sway bar end link. It's the second one I've broken from the company that I purchased from, and I won't be purchasing them again. So replace those with a different one. But I think before I go to Moab for Jeep Safari, before I invade Eastern Jeep Safari in a Mitsubishi, I'm going to disconnect those front sway bars so we don't have to worry about it. So
It was last second, Brent. It was very last second.
Andy, have you tried to run in some detergent through like the detergent for your coolant system before you emptied it out?
yeah, I
You
ran
used a liquid detergent or use the Tide Pods?
Yeah, I put 3 Tide Pods in there. So
There you go.
I ate one also. So
There you go.
but so I they look like candy. I don't know. Anyway, I used some radiator coolant system cleaner from Napa that I bought and did that, and then flushed it out. I actually disconnected the lower radiator hose and ended up just putting the garden hose down there, flushing it all out, then cleaned it out a couple times, ran distilled water through it, flushed that. So I actually flushed it like 3 times technically.
Nice.
And it was coming out pretty clean. So there may be a new radiator in my future. Who knows? It's the original radiator from '92, but it can be record and all that stuff. So we'll see what this does. But I'd like to get that done, rear sway bar end links and upper ball joint boots replaced before I maybe take this vehicle to Moab. If I don't take this one, I'll take our other 91 Pajero, but that has a little bit of a parasitic amp draw problem. But it does have battery disconnects on it now, so it's not that big a deal.
When are you going to Moab?
For Jeep Safari.
Safari.
So yeah, but like 2 weeks, something like that, 2.5 weeks. So
April.
I invited
3rd,
you
I
to
think.
go this fall, but you haven't responded to my Facebook event yet. So
oh, really?
checking.
Oh, I will have to look at
He was
that.
in Mexico. He was in Mexico. You don't. Those invites don't go down there. They're only.
They get lost in translation, I think.
Mhm.
So,
Lost between the wall and here. Yeah.
yeah, I'll have to look that up because any chance to go to Moab that I can, I will.
Well, let us not forget that Earth Day is right around the corner. Like Andy said, Easter's not that far away. And following that is Earth Day, April 22nd. And that's our trail cleanup day. So mark your calendars, get out of your computer chairs, hit the trail, any trail, and just go pick up some trash. Every little bit helps. What's the worst that can happen? You might end up like me in a ditch and need to call your friends. But, that's worst case scenario.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Then your friends get to come hang out.
Yeah.
We've also got some listener feedback. A YouTube viewer wrote, "I'm currently living in Napier, which is down in New Zealand." And it says where those photos are. So he was commenting as he was watching our YouTube after the show ended, where these photos are and where Caleb came to help and met up with Caleb. And at one point, on one of his runs, but we are out doing other missions for other people. I just saw this stuff in person every day for weeks while doing everything we could to help. After seeing all those pictures and stories, it still brings tears to my eyes every time it's brought up. So we don't know this guy's name because he just has a YouTube handle. But we appreciate you writing in. And I think I think I said it on the show. And if I didn't, I had no idea until we got the news about that cyclone that hit New Zealand, that a cyclone had hit New Zealand. So I had absolutely no idea the devastation or anything that was going on down there. It definitely wasn't in any of the news cycles that I followed. So
yeah, it was crazy. There was a customer's house I was at, and she had just got back from New Zealand. And I was like, "Hey, I heard about were you there during the cyclone?" And she's like, "No, I actually showed up just after it happened." And all my friends were messaging me, like asking me if I was okay, because they heard about it like a week after it happened, and she was there for like 2 weeks. So it's just like, wow, shows you how much the news cycle really follows other countries sometimes in their events.
Yeah, we have my wife Mercedes, her godmother and goddaughter. They live in New Zealand, and we actually spent an evening with Caleb and his wife when we were there in 2006. We stayed at their place, and we called over to make sure that everybody was safe from that cyclone when we heard about it. And apparently it missed them. They're on an island outside of Auckland. But yeah, that the area that was impacted sure was hit hard. Some of those photos are amazing.
Yeah.
So.
We also want to thank our sponsor, Patriot Patch. Head over to patriotpatch.co and check out their selection of great patches, shirts, cleaning mats, signs, and stickers. You can also join the Patch of the Month Club for $15 and receive a patch, matching sticker, and artist proof each month.
So last week we showed the new series of the Poke Wars, because they had like the child, which was like a Pikachu, Grogu, Baby Yoda one, and so I Friday ordered and today showed up. Oh, that's just garbage. You can't see it. So there you go. That patch showed up in the mail today, along with a couple others.
Yeah.
So it was it's Pikachu / Chewbacca. So
Pikachu Baka.
Pikachu Baka with his bow, slinging some Pokeballs. So yeah, and then it also came with a couple other patches there. Not a Fed and hope the best, prepare for the worst. Patches.
I've never seen that patch advertised or anything. That one's a totally new one to me. I wonder if you get
best one.
What's that?
Which one, the Not a Fed or the Hope for the Best?
No, the Prepare for the Worst.
Yeah, it was the first time I saw that one too.
I wonder if he just got them in and sent you one and hasn't promoted them. So
possibly.
Yeah. And then just ruined the surprise for everybody. Sneak peek here on the Off-Road Podcast.
Yep. And then I was joking with Jake. I was like,
you're gonna spoil this for people.
Oh well,
I don't
this
think
is only speculation.
I don't think you should spoil it.
This is speculation. Right. Because they released this today, and I was joking with Jake. I was like, "Is the next one going to be like an R2, or you should do an R2D2 Diglett one?" And I mean, that's what I'm seeing right there. It's R2D2 something. So
it looks like R2D2 and
a minion.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for him to come out
holding a bag of gold
with a Pokeball Death Star, because that'd be awesome.
Oh, that would be cool. That would be cool.
So yeah. We'll see what happens on Friday. They drop on Friday. They sell pretty fast. They drop at 2 p.m. Central, noon Pacific. So if you're interested in them, that's when you got to be looking for them. I got patch 44 out of 100, and I bought within the first 10 minutes. So,
wow.
Yep. So be on it, or you ain't getting it.
Have tire troubles ever left you deflated? Colby Valve has got you covered. Ever have a valve stem leak? Colby Valve makes reusable and easily replaceable valve stems that don't require you to remove your tire from the wheel. They work with your off-road rig, ATV, side-by-side, commuter vehicle, or even your tractor. Never be left stranded again because of a busted valve stem. They also have a tire repair kit for those punctures that keep you away from doing your favorite thing, wheeling. Make sure to check out colbyvalve.com or ask for them at your local off-road products store.
Well, our first news story tonight comes from Off-Road Extreme, and it's that the Optima Battery Company is going to this is very in the past, is going to host an EV rally at King of Hammers. So this rally, I was saving this news story till Andy came on. So this has already happened. You can't go on it unless they're doing another one next year. So you have to own an electric vehicle, and it's a one-day event. It comes with 2 free King of Hammer tickets and a heated vest for the first 50 people who sign up, that's pretty fun. They get you a heated vest. It's an entry-level off-road style poker run that explores Johnson Valley. And the rally was apparently going to be attended by Tanner Faust, Vaughn Gittin Jr., Lauren Healy, Eric Miller, and Christopher, and another guy named Richard, and more people beyond those guys. I can't pronounce those last names, and I really don't want to butcher them. I'm sorry.
Polkador and
I guess Ben's gonna butcher them for me.
What? Toss?
Richard's
Yep.
last name is that noise you make before you sing "Let the Bodies Hit the Floor."
Okay. So this poker run tour hits iconic King of Hammers trails, and there's refreshments and lunch provided. So that's a pretty neat thing. I think there was also something to do with charging stations as well. I think it's pretty cool. The Optima batteries set up an EV off-road poker run. I think that's pretty cool. So
Yeah, there was a bunch of Rivians. Tanner Faust was actually driving my wife Mercedes Volkswagen ID4 Rebel Rally vehicle. So
Okay.
a couple of people came up to like, "Hey, Mercedes Volkswagen is here." I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "Oh, I guess Rebel or Optima is doing something about it." So, but
that's awesome.
the press release said it was Tanner Faust race car, and unless Tanner Faust has changed his name to my wife's name, it was actually her vehicle. But anyway, it was cool to see all those.
I thought I heard that Tanner used it in a different, not this event, but used it for something as well. No?
No, well, he had a VW ID4 race car that ran in Nora, but that was not this one. And maybe like the press release got sent out and something got changed. So, but anyway,
Interesting. Okay.
but yeah, there was no missing the Rebel Rally vehicle. It's like very bright. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's definitely unique. Well, our next story here is from The Drive, and Rivian's patenting a bolt-on low-range transfer case because crawling can overheat electric motors. Multiple electric motors required multiple low-range gearboxes. Rivian's new patent is a 2-speed planetary drive and actuator that replaces the inner CV joint. The patent states gear reduction could be between 1 to 5.151 to 501.
1.5 to 1 to 5 to 1.
There we go.
There we go.
And then the gearboxes also have provisions for heat exchangers. So, and then I've got the picture here if it will upload quickly enough.
I find that really interesting that they're doing that. I'm curious to see what these axles look like. It says replaces the inner CV axle joint.
I don't think it does replace the inner CV axle joint. I bet it uses a different CV axle. It doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, I would expect you to have to swap an entire axle.
Yeah.
But if that's the case, could I just get some axles?
So
and then obviously there has to be 4 of those, and these have to be built to withstand the 900 foot-pounds of torque those electric motor make, and then Rivian weighs I think 7,000 pounds. So these are incredibly small, but are apparently built incredibly robust.
Well, those motors wouldn't make 900 each. It'd be 900 combined.
True, but I mean,
yeah, but I get your point. Whoever this gal is that's driving, she's excited. She's ready to take that off road. She's got a big smile. Yeah, well, that's something I'm definitely going to watch. And it'd be pretty sweet if someone could make plug and play axles that change your gears without having to change your gears, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I brought one more news story that I didn't tell you guys about. So this is for all the Nissan lovers, and since Aaron is the only Nissan lover I know, somebody somewhere
there's 3 of them in the chat. We've got Brent in the chat, Josh is in the chat.
All 3 of the Nissan lovers are here.
I'm trying to downplay Nissan lovers, but you guys should be really excited because somebody is selling a bunch of VK45 IndyCar engines.
I've never even heard of a VK45.
That's not what you run in your Nissan? If it's not, it's what you should.
Mine's a VK56.
Yeah, well, you need the VK45.
I've got 11 more VKs than this does.
Yeah, this has 450 horsepower at 81 RPM or 81 RPM. 304 foot-pounds of torque at 6,700 RPM. All
Ooh,
right.
and carbon fiber.
Yeah, these are pretty. They only have a couple hundred miles on them. They're very lightly used. They don't come with the ECU because Nissan said that the tune was theirs and they weren't giving it away, so the ECUs had to be destroyed. But what you see is what you get. And I think this would, I know you like the V8 sound in your truck, Aaron, but imagine if you had a high revving IndyCar sound in your off-road truck. People's heads would turn. They'd be, wow, sport bike's coming up the trail. No, it's Aaron Nissan.
I saw the some of the comments on this for sale ad, and people were like, well, what does it bolt up to? What can I bolt this thing up to? I'd be curious. So Josh wants to know how much money. The guy said between 10 and 12 grand, I think.
I remember it as 15, but I can just check real quick here.
Yeah, maybe it was 15.
Or maybe he has. Yeah, he's selling them for 15 each.
Okay.
But it comes with all the wiring and a full pinout from Nissan. So you know what the wiring is. Yeah, you're going to have to pick up a standalone or something. So it's going to be really 16 or 17, plus all the Mitchell-ADS, But I think, Aaron, you should pick one of these up. I know it's $15,000. It's going to be a lot of work to put in there. But at the rate you're working on your Nissan at this point, I don't think it's going to slow down your off-roading little to none. So I say we pick one up, Aaron.
Yeah. We've got quite the comment going on here in the comments. I'm not going to share this one. Yeah, I'm not going to share this one. Yes, Andy. I don't know. All right, Coy, you're up again.
Sorry, I got to get back here. Nope, I'm not going to get back because I just deleted Google Drive. So it's on you, Aaron.
Okay, well, we've got a old contest that we're talking about. On May 8th, our pal Andy from Warren Industries, you may have heard of him. He's going to come on and we're going to talk some recovery stories. And so leading up to that episode, we would like you, our listeners, our valued listeners and watchers. So if you're watching, you can also write into us with your personal stories of when you recovered somebody like Ben when you're out on the trail, or if you, like Ben, got stuck on the trail and had to be recovered, or Aaron or Coy or Andy. So we're going to be picking one story at random. So it doesn't have to be the best story because it's going to be random, and you're going to win a Warren medium duty accessory kit. There we go. Someone's on the pictures on the ball. So that's a bag, a couple straps, a couple bow shackles, a pair of gloves, and what's the proper term for that thing?
Tree strap?
No, the winch
Snatch block.
pulley. Snatch block. Thank you, guys. Man, you'd think it was like it had a long day or something.
I was going to say snatch block, but I'm like, is there a different term? A pulley?
No. Pulley block, snatch block.
Yep. So yeah, you could win that. I've got it right here over my shoulder, just waiting to be mailed out to a listener. Yeah.
Well,
and we haven't really had the amount of people write in that we expected. So your chances are high, guys. Like,
yes,
we got, it's good. Get in here and get in on this.
So Josh is asking if it's kinetic straps. It is a tree trunk protector is one of them, and the other one is a recovery strap, a 2-inch by 30-foot recovery strap rated to 14,400 pounds,
which would be a flat strap.
That's a gross amount of weight. Get it 144. It's a gross, by the way, if you didn't know math.
I'm terrible.
I'm sorry. That was terrible.
So Andy, you're here.
Joke.
You know what that means, right?
What's that? Do I know what means?
It's the main topic, and you got to read the ad.
Oh,
but you got to create one on your own.
Oh, this is I'm used to regularly being put on the spot here to do my own ad spot. So let's see. What shall we say? Let's say. Let's see. Give me a random word to incorporate into it.
Warren.
Oh, well, fine. Visit warren.com for all your vehicle recovery needs, whether you're looking for winches, wheels, recovery kits, or even Factor 55, FabTech, or FabForce products. You may find all of that good stuff at warren.com. That's WARN.com. By the way, it's our 75th anniversary this year.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
We need to reach out to somebody from Warren and ask them about a 75th anniversary hat or something.
We may be able to do something like that.
Maybe they'll provide a hat.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be good. Not for Ben though. Ben needs a beanie.
I'll see what we can do.
It's a little big of a noggin. Hats don't fit. I've tried.
All right. Well, our main topic is sponsored by Warren. We're not going to do a video because Andy did it live.
Yes.
Boom.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about the King of the Hammers, the Hammer King,
King of the
KOH,
Hammers.
King of the Hammers. There we
It's a
go.
place called Hammertown.
Yeah. So maybe Andy, you could just we don't really have any questions for this show once again. I figured that you would just tell a story. You could start off by maybe telling us what the King of Hammers is, if you know a little bit of history, how many years you've been going, what do you do while you're there, what do other people do while they're there, and yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, King of the Hammers started out years ago, and it was a few guys down in the California desert, down in Johnson Valley, and they just decided, hey, let's see who can do these trails the fastest. And that's a super oversimplified version of it, but it went from essentially just a bunch of dudes in the desert in their buggies to what you see today, which was, I believe the official number was over 80,000 people. And so you literally go from a dusty valley floor on the edge of a armed forces base to a fairly decent sized town, Hammertown, as they call it. Some used to call it the Burning Man of off-road. I think the Mad Max of off-road is maybe a little bit more appropriate. Less violent than Mad Max, but maybe more violent than Burning Man. I don't know. Anyway, so but it is a spectacle. If you are into four-wheel drive, and if you're listening and or watching, then you are likely, unless maybe a couple of people in the comments here. But it's something you need to go to. It's truly a spectacle. The amount of people and all that is something else. So yeah, it's been around several years. I don't know exactly how many, but I think I've been to it. I think this was my seventh time going. I haven't honestly kept track, but and I wasn't able to make it last year due to some health things, but it was something else. So it's extremely dusty. If there's a lot of wind, it can be dusty. If there's not enough wind, it can be dusty. So you got to kind of get that right amount of wind. This year the weather was actually beautiful, which was fantastic. It can be cold, really cold. I've been there at 19 degrees. I've been there at 90 degrees. It just kind of depends. So, but it brings out all sorts of racers. They had, if I remember correctly, with all of the classes for all of the races, including the motorcycle race, the SUV race, the Baja racers, the UTVs, the Everyman Challenge, and the Ultra 4 race. I believe they had actually 1,000 entries. So it's gotten huge. It's gotten really big. So there's all kinds of vendors there. Warren, Factor 55, FabTech. We were all there. FabForce, and then you've got pretty much all the other real big names. Everybody from ARB, which is really kind of representing their locker, although they've got a whole bunch of other products there. To all the suspension companies, apparel companies, tire companies. It's quite the spectacle. So if you get the opportunity to go, I highly recommend going at least once, checking it out, because the spectacle alone is just incredible. The fact that a wide spot in the desert just turns into a town is nuts. So.
Do you have any idea how many different classes there are, or maybe what kind of classes people run there?
Yeah, so they start out with King of the Motos, which is a motorcycle race. All kinds of crazy dirt bike kind of things, and then they have they're not actually trophy trucks, and I'm forgetting the name of it off the top of my head, but it's a Baja style race truck. They have that. They had a kids Baja race. They have a UTV race, and then multiple classes within the UTV class, from stock to unlimited stuff. They have what is called the Everyman Challenge, which has a number of classes as well. That's going to be a little bit lower, generally a little lower budget, a little bit slower. And then they have the full on big race, which is going to be your big, I believe it's the 4400 class cars, and we're talking big power, big block, crazy vehicles. And these things, they have to be a bit of a jack of all trades. And so they have to be able to crawl over massive rocks, but they also need to go 100 plus miles an hour through the desert. So it's an interesting hybrid of vehicles. So, and when you get into that big race, the last day, a lot of the cars have gone to an independent front suspension as opposed to the solid front and rear axles. A lot of these guys are running independent front, super beefy CVs, incredible articulation, and then solid rear axle, and then so it's incredible. And then the spectating is an interesting deal, because there's only a certain place you can really go. And so a couple of the major obstacles that are most accessible and best for spectating, one is called Backdoor, the other one is called Chocolate Thunder, and people line up and down the sides of those valleys to see these guys go through. And it's a very large course, hundreds of miles. And so, it's really something else. So, but the other cool thing about it is, I know that I have been, if you can get there during the lineups before the race starts, there's a kind of electricity that is hard to describe. And it's that feeling of sort of like tense anxiety, not anxiety, but like excitement. And the people's rigs are running, and you can see the laser focus on people as they get ready to start things up. So this year they did change things up a little bit. Warren sponsored a VIP area. So for an extra, I think it's $120, it was basically all you could eat. And then they had private, it's a big private room, and they've got TVs and couches and all this food. And that was super good, great food. You're really well taken care of. You've got a great view of the part of the track, the start finish line. They moved the start finish line this year, so it was on a straightaway, and it's great. And I know for me, half the fun is seeing the race is fantastic, but it's really fun too to just walk through the pits and walk through the parking lots and see the crazy rigs that people have. Some of these are just awesome. I mean, there were vehicles there that are just insane builds. Everything from Jeeps and new Broncos to home built buggies and sort of everything in between. It's quite an array of vehicles. But I just can't stress enough that if you get the chance to go to it and you're into 4-wheel drive, you need to go at least 1 year. I don't recommend ground tent camping. Some people do, but it's pretty dusty, pretty loud. It can be very windy. So,
what is it? Last year they started the EV class. It was last year, right?
There was, I think it was 2 years ago. They had a what do you call it? An EV class, but I know I saw one vehicle there. I was there in 2020, and they had a one EV run.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw that this year. There was only one EV in the EV class. I'm like, disappointing with all those Rivians that are there. Like, come on. I thought you bought a race car.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to go out and watch the, because just regular civilians can run the course at night.
Mhm.
And so I've had some friends that gone and they say that's some of the best is to just watch basically drunk yahoos in their Jeeps run that course at night.
Yeah.
Did you get to do that at all?
I didn't this year. I wasn't able to stick around at nights. I had to get. We were unfortunately kind of far out for our motel was quite a ways away. So we ended up kind of leaving around 5:36 and then getting back to our hotel and grabbing some dinner. But I do know that there's a whole bunch of crazy wheeling that happens between the races, and I've heard all the stories. So and then they do a shootout too, and which is pretty awesome. All kinds of. I mean, I can't. It's hard to put into words the amount of things that are continuously going on there at like all hours. From prior years, being there later and just the people, the wheeling, the atmosphere, the party, there's people that are there to spectate in the party and whatnot, but the racers a lot of them are super duper serious about this, and they're working all day, all night to make sure what they need to do happens. And one of the big reasons, arguably one of the main reasons that Warren shows up is racer support. So people will come by. We bring in one of our techs from our service center in Clackamas, Oregon, to help with repairs if racers need repairs to a winch. If lines break, we had my coworker Justin Andrews. He was there splicing rope like crazy. He was out on the course helping with recoveries, and so we're helping racers a ton. We hand out pit mats every year too, which is a big deal.
Oh, fun.
Those are really cool. I saw John Matthews with his.
Yeah. So
Are they very absorbent? Because Coy could use one this weekend for his pits.
Yeah.
Ew. Yeah. Yeah. So they, it's the kind you'd lay down. It will collect fluids, even brake fluid from your armpit, and all those things. So we hand out those. Those usually go within like 24 hours. So it's a big thing. But we're really there to support the racers. Ultra 4 is a big part of what we do. It's off-road racing is a big thing. And King of the Hammers, it doesn't get much bigger than that in the rock racing world. You've got your big names and all that. And I believe it was 90% of the racers at King of the Hammers are using Warren winches. So that's a pretty gratifying number, to see that many people that are doing this using our products. And then in the overall race on Saturday, top 3, I believe at least top 4, if not top 5, are all running Warren products. Raul Gomez, who took first place, back-to-back King of the Hammers winner, he was running our winch, and as were the other, a whole bunch of other finishers, and in those races too, both the Everyman Challenge and the Big Dance on Saturday, you've got everything from, I think there were 5 Suzuki Samurais racing this year in the Everyman Challenge, which is just like, what? Like, there's this dude, he was on 31s, maybe no, he had to been 33s. But I went up to him like, dude, this thing's almost too nice to wheel. And he's out there, still spring under and all this stuff. And he's out there doing it. And that was awesome. Amber Turner, she finished this year for the first time in her Samurai and on 33s. And but you've also got everything. You've got everything from Jeeps to crazy pickups, and it's just super cool. It's just there's kind of something for every racer enthusiast. And this event has gone from being a few days to pretty much 2 weeks solid. We almost ran out of apparel within, the first few days. It's incredible. Every year we bring more apparel. Like This was our King of the Hammer shirt. It's got all the trails on the back of it, and
Oh, nice.
we ran out of most of our apparel. I showed up Wednesday, and we were out of almost all the sizes. So it's crazy. We bring as much apparel as we bring. It all goes. So great community, great event, and it's again, I can't say anything other than the fact it's a spectacle, because it truly is something that you're not going to see anywhere else in the world.
I talked to John Matthews the other day. I wanted because he didn't complete. We had him on last year, and he finished. It turns out it was his transfer case that ended up going, and it's so brutal. It's like something as simple as a transfer case going can end your race.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't take much to, one serious failure, I mean, that's racing, right? So
so we talked about there being a bunch of different classes, including motorcycle class and EV class. Do they all drive the same course?
that's a good question. I'm not 100% sure on the UTVs, for example, if they're doing, I don't know if they're doing the same course, to be honest. I'm not 100% sure if they switch it up a little bit or not. I should know that, to be honest, but I'm not
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure. I know that, for instance, like the Baja trucks are not doing the Ultra 4. They're not going up back door or down back door through any of that stuff.
That's kind of what I was wondering.
Yeah, that definitely has its own deal. It's its
I
own.
see.
Okay.
Mhm.
For some reason in my head, I don't know if this is a fact or not, but it just popped in. I think the EVs just do one lap, and everybody else kind of does.
The
two,
EVs do one
3.
lap, but it's the non-rock portion. Like it has
Is that
some
what it is? I know they
it's
do
not
kind of an
hardcore.
abbreviated version of the course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that the last year, like I said, I wasn't there in 2022. And I know that I think it was 2020 that 2020 was last year I went, and they had one EV, and it was a Toyota with an EV, and I think they only had to do 1 or 2 laps total. I can't remember, and that was their route. But I think you're going to see more of that, just as battery technology, low end torque from EVs is fantastic. I've had some time behind the wheel of a Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 4xe in full EV mode in Tillamook State Forest, and it's incredible. The torque is really there. So you never know.
That sounds like that would have been a fun time to go wheeling with you. Man.
Yeah, that would have
Boy.
been a fun time, birthday boy. So anyway. I think it was your birthday, if I remember correctly.
It was.
I too have heard that it's fun to go wheeling with Aaron, but I don't know. Andy's
It's a legend,
Yeah.
It's I hope someday to be able to experience that.
I hear crazy stories, but yeah, it'd be nice.
It's coming
Yeah.
up. We're gonna go the Saturday before Easter. We're gonna do some wheeling out in that area. Although someone I was talking to today said to check out a place called Diamond Head or something like that. That's on the backside of Brown's Camp. So I gotta look into that. He said there's a lot less Yahoos out there. So we'll see.
I've not heard of that.
It was Diamond something.
Yeah, I don't know that one. I see
Dakota
Travis-
Todd says Dakota Todd says he just bought a 4xe Grand Cherokee Overland, and he says the torque is super impressive.
Well,
Yeah.
the more of those type of rigs that show up at the junkyards, the more people will be able to use them like the Indians used a Buffalo and make King of Hammers EV rigs.
I hope so.
So crash your EVs, guys. That's what I'm saying. Do
Yeah.
the American thing. Total it.
Travis Hudson says with enough speed, most rigs can make it down backdoor at least once, right? I mean, pretty much anything can get down at once. So.
Is that kind of like that event that they have in Alaska where they like lure them and they shoot them off the cliff?
The Dukes of Hazzard Festival thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not enough Dixie horn in the world for that event.
There is not.
Was there any races that or anyone you were watching closely at the races?
Oh, the Gomez brothers racing is their one I always keep an eye on because Raul had won last year. Of course, the Shannon Campbell, he was out there. Unfortunately, both Waylon and Bailey, his son and daughter, who were both supposed to race, they weren't able to run. They had some engine problems at the last second. So it was of the Shannon of the Campbell family. It was only Shannon, but Shannon always puts on a good show. So I watch him. Eric Miller, Lauren Healy, Vaughn Gittin Jr., Jason Shearer. All the top guys. They're always putting on a good show. They're always giving it their all. But I mean, honestly, like every one of these guys does an amazing job. And honestly, in the stock class and EMC, in the Everyman Challenge, I'm always rooting for the underdogs. So I'm an unabashed Amber Turner fan. So I was glad to hear she finished this year. We actually had a couple of guys from Warren that were racing this year as well. Kind of came together last second, and they were doing pretty well. They broke, unfortunately, but yeah, there's no shortage of entertainment, no shortage of good things to watch. And by the way, they have a huge jumbotron as opposed to a tiny jumbotron in Hammertown, so you can actually watch the race, using their helicopter, using their drones, using cameras, and so on and so forth that are mounted out there or that are being used out there. So you can really watch from Hammertown and see what's going on, and it's definitely some great racing. I mean, it's just the endurance behind it. They bill it as the hardest off-road race in the world, and there's not a bone in my body that believes otherwise. So,
has the internet cell phone reception gotten any better out there? Wasn't that the place that had the bush, the cell phone bush?
Yeah, no, it hasn't. At least it hasn't for AT&T. Maybe it's gotten better on Verizon. I don't really know. But no, the cell service is spotty. We had Starlink in the booth to run our till, and then there is Wi-Fi in the VIP tent and the media tent. I was also registered as media, so I could get in and get some shots. I ended up getting a really, really great photo of.
You did shots in the media tent?
No, Aaron, that is not what I said.
Aaron, you hear that? We're going to King of the Hammers and we're doing shots in the media tent.
From the windows to the walls.
You went to the media. You said you went to the media tent to get some shots.
Did I say that? Okay, well, that's not what I. If that's what
Where's
I said,
our court reporter? Have the court reporter play that back, please.
Can I see the transcript, please? Anyway, yeah, but yeah, it ended up being a really, really good finish. Watched Raul Gomez come over the line. He and Eric Shearer Jason Shearer were both, really, really battling it out at the end, and it ended up being a really good race, and ended up getting a really good photo of Raul Gomez coming across the finish line. I just sent you that via Facebook, Aaron, if you wanted to share that. But this is the winner, Raul Gomez, coming across the finish line. And if Aaron gets it on the screen here, you'll see he even had a flat tire coming across the finish line. And it was just one of those moments.
So, out of curiosity, with the media pass, does that let you go to certain spots where it's good? You get better pictures and all that.
Yeah, right. So you have to qualify to be media if you're not a sponsor. So there it is. There's the photo. So I took that photo of Raul coming over the finish line, or about to come into the finish line. You can see that right rear tire is pretty flat. So, but
barely being held on by a bead.
It is a beadlock situation for sure. So, but But yeah, the media thing. If you are if you're qualified media, you're writing for legitimate publications. You have to submit clips and a few of those things so they can vet you. If you are a KOH sponsor like Warren Industries, you get a media, but you can get a media badge. I've shot King of the Hammers every year. I've been there, and yeah, pew pew pew. And it's been gotten some great photos over the years. And there are some really world-class photographers there who have gotten some amazing photos. But the off-road racing oftentimes presents itself with great opportunities for really dramatic photography and great video and all that. So, and King of the Hammers is no exception to that. There's plenty of dirt spraying and rocks being thrown and lots of excitement. So, but yeah, so I think they had over 400 media. One crazy thing is every year you go, you're on the highway and you turn off on a dirt road to get to Hammertown. And every year I always remark how much farther back towards the road people are camping in big motorhomes and small motorhomes and tents and whatever. And I remarked like, wow, I can't believe how many people are already here and are parked this far or are camping this far back. When I was in the media briefing on Wednesday night, they said, and again, Wednesday, so that meant there were Thursday, Friday, Saturday still with races left. They were still expecting 3,000 RVs to check in. I mean, it's just like bonkers how crazy busy and how populated and how many people go to this event now.
Yeah, it's nuts how much it's grown, and Hammertown grows every time substantially.
Yeah, I remember going there when there was like nothing to eat there. Like there was like, I think a taco guy and a pizza guy, and they only took cash and that was it. And now there's all kinds of things to eat and all kinds of things to drink and all kinds of stuff to buy. And it's crazy. So
does Tanner Faust and Von Gittin Jr. hurt your feelings as much as me? Like, do they have to race in every single freaking motorsport on the planet? Like every race I see, it's like, and Von Gittin Jr. is going to be there. I'm like, he's everywhere. Like it makes me feel so worthless. Like used to people pick the lane, like you're a NASCAR driver or whatever, but no, they're like off-road, Baja 1000, pro drifters, rally. They do Hot Wheels stunts, Red Bull stunts, just like give it a rest, guys. Like
400.
The rest of us.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you go to your local speedway to watch like school bus racing and like, what do you mean Von Gittin's racing here? I mean, it's like crazy.
Literally at Park, there's a place used to be called or still called Pat Akers Racing Complex. It was like a go-kart track, but they do drift events there.
Yeah.
And once a year they had like an extra big one. And like Von Gittin shows up in his Mustang. Like it's like, bro, just go be a pro somewhere else. Like it's not even funny anymore.
You know you would do it, Coy. You know you would do everything.
I really think what it is
every event
is they've got that bug so bad. They've got to get it as often as they can. And at the same time, they know that they'll have fans there that will be like, oh, I actually get to see him doing the same thing I'm doing.
It's not. They're fan. They compete in every sport. Like they started out like rally and drifting, and they do everything now. Like I know, like I'm just Sunday morning going through my rabbit ear TV and some weird channels doing like ice racing. I guarantee you, one of those guys is in it, like just randomly in Nova Scotia or something. I'm like,
there's like swamp buggy racing from Florida, and like, oh hey, look, Von Gittin Jr.
Yeah, absolutely. Like anytime, like, hey, airboat racing in a stadium. I'm like, oh yeah, there it is.
There's Travis Pastrana.
That's some crazy air for an airboat. Like they're in everything, and I'm just like, it hurts my feelings. I need them to slow it down.
Yeah, no,
that's funny.
There's a bit.
We'll write him a letter.
There's some envy.
Yeah,
all right.
Pastrana's been doing that too.
Yep. So, in closing, Andy, why don't you give us a hypothetical here? So, Aaron, Ben, and Coy in 2025 are going to go to King of Hammers.
Mm-hmm.
We've never been before.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of tell us and our listeners what they should do to prepare for, what they should do while they're there, all that stuff, do you leave immediately or do you wait till it's completely
Oh.
over because there's 80,000 people leaving at the same time? Like, dial us in for the best experience we can ever have at King of Hammers
Oh
from a
yeah.
seasoned professional.
Super great question here. So check the weather because it can be super hot, it can be super cold, it can be super dusty, it can snow, it can rain. So and then pack appropriately. But be prepared for dust, be prepared for cold mornings, be prepared for potential hot afternoons.
Real quick, I'm going to interrupt. Josh asks if we're going racing or if we're going to be there watching. For 2025, we're just going to watch. 2026, we're racing.
Well,
Ben's
we're going
Forerunner.
to watch Ben
Ben's-
race his Forerunner.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Coy and I are watching Ben race.
He brought a trailer.
So make sure you check the weather, make sure you dress appropriately. Next, I would not recommend camping in a tent. If you're going to go camp, rent an RV or buy an RV or do something
Would
with
a
hard sides.
pop-up tent work, like a pop-up camper tent?
I saw some pop-up camper tents, but if it's me, I'm going to want something with a heater and something with hard walls. But that's me. So rent an RV, do something. Go rent America or RV America or whatever it is, one with a dog in the window. But anyway, and then get there. Depending on what you want to see. If you want the whole shebang, then you're going to be out there for a week and a half. If you're just there to see like the UTV race, the Everyman Challenge, and the Ultra 4 race on Saturday, then show up. I'd show up on, what is it? I guess the Ultra 4, I think you show up on Wednesday if you don't want to see any of the qualifying. Then you'll be there for at least all the races. Bring plenty of sunscreen, bring plenty of liquid water, stay hydrated, and then bring your hiking boots because you're going to be off-road all the time. You're also going to have to drive to a lot of the obstacles and the spectator things. There's no like walking from Hammertown to Chocolate Thunder. It's way far.
Okay.
So you're gonna want to have a 4-wheel drive.
What about a souped-up moped?
Souped-up moped, not recommended. And then no, you're gonna want 4-wheel drive.
Fall and break your tailbone, son.
Ben's going to be competing with the souped-up moped anyways. We won't have access to it.
Oh, as a competitive vehicle, that's one thing. But so, and then, like I said, hiking boots. Make sure you've got your hiking boots and your sunglasses and the camera. So it's pretty cool. As far as leaving, we left on Saturday after the main race, and it took us an hour and a half to go from Hammertown to the highway. I hear Sunday's worse. I had Tammy Campbell of Campbell Racing. She told us it took them 6 hours on Sunday to go from Hammertown to the highway. It's just gridlock. So I would leave earlier than later, personally. So
or leave extra late, like stay an extra day, so you don't have to get in any of that.
Yep. Yeah. And just make sure you stay in bounds too, because there's unexploded ordnances, bombing ranges, all that stuff. But the Marine base out there. So stay in Hammertown or stay in the area. Stay in Johnson Valley. Don't cross over those lines.
Or come with a helicopter.
That's on you. I can't make any recommendation of a helicopter.
There's no lines with helicopters.
That's true.
I believe
restricted airspace, perhaps, but yeah.
I believe Tread Lightly and the Gambler 500 guys do a cleanup afterwards. So if you need something to do, you can hang out with those guys and clean up.
Yeah, totally. I saw Tate Morgan from Gambler 500 and Sons of Smokey out there doing the good thing, fighting the good fight. So, and I know there were Tread Lightly folks out there as well, also doing a good thing. Jesse Combs Foundation was out there, hung out with some of those fine people as well. And there's a lot of good going on there too. So the whole thing is good.
Speaking of Tread Lightly, we're going to have them on in a month. Late April, they'll be on.
Outstanding.
So we'll have to ask them about. We'll have to ask them about that.
Is it Matt?
Evan? I think it's Evan.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Evan.
Cool.
Yeah, it's Evan again.
I need to re-up my Tread Lightly membership. I've been a card carrying member of Tread Lightly for years, and I think I need to re-up. So,
Oh my God, guys, we got a Twitch listener.
Right on.
There we go. Right at the end of the show.
Right. Sorry.
Yep. Well, we'll make the ending extra good for Akuma. Well, is there anything else to cover for King of Hammers before we close this out?
just do it. Just go. Just plan early.
Did you get to see the helicopter recovery?
I didn't actually see it. I saw it on the. I think I saw it on the screen, but yeah, that's wild. So
That's good insurance right there. Best
Yeah.
trip ever.
it's like
That's the
something
best
out of like
AAA ever.
Mario Kart.
Lakitu picking you up.
Lakitu. That's right.
Yeah.
Josh
Josh wants to know when you're racing, Andy.
Oh, I'd love to. I'd love to do it. I'd love to have an EMC car and get out there and do the thing. I would love to try it.
Andy, you can
Well-
be my partner.
I can't co-drive. I'm going to get sick, but I can drive.
Here's what I say we do, boys. We get Tate with Gambler 500 and have him ambassador for us, and we start like a Coleman go-kart class.
Oh my God.
Isn't there
She-
one for the Mint 400?
I think it just
They had
Can't-
hoopty cross.
the
I know they had
400,
hoopty cross.
They have a Coleman mini bike class now. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
they have an actual like Coleman go-kart class.
That would
Just
be
saying.
amazing.
We could make it happen.
Yeah. Well, with that said, we want to thank everybody for listening, especially Akuma for joining us right here at the very end. We appreciate you. You can tune in at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time every week on Mondays, and we'll be here, Akuma, just for you and for the rest of our listeners. We do appreciate you guys. We love most of the comments that we get. Sometimes the comments are a little bit too much, and you might get banned or kicked out or put in a timeout. So keep them good. Keep the comments good, not over the top.
Not too much
Yeah,
fecal matter.
appropriate. Yeah. But also share us with your friends, help us grow, and God bless America.
Don't forget to visit Patriot Patch and join the Patch of the Month Club. Check out our Gaia affiliate link for up to 40% off. Also, don't forget to head over to Warren Medical Gear Outfitters and Colby Valve to see all their great gear. We're a proud part of the Firearms Radio Network. Got a comment or question? Send it to us through our webpage at firearmsradio.net or through our social media channels by searching for Off-Road Podcast. Also, you can listen to us live at overlandradio.com Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific. When off-road, please remember to have fun, tread lightly, be safe, and courteous. Thanks for listening.
So I noticed that Akuma said, if we're talking about cars, I'm sadly going to be the one getting made fun of, as in them. But actually, in fact, it's going to be me.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's for sure.
Always
Going to be
Ben.
getting made fun of. Yep.